Welcome to my channel. HD Rare Coins 111. In this video I tell you about the United States of America Jefferson Nichols 5-cent coin, which are most valuable and rare. If you interested, please subscribe my channel. Thanks. Top 1. Today, we'll delve into the history, design, and value of one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, the Jefferson nickel, specifically the 1964 edition. This small, 5-cent piece has more than meets the eye, carrying with it a rich story of American tradition, historical significance, and an unexpected surprise for those who dig deeper into its value. To truly appreciate the 1964 Jefferson nickel, we first need to go back to its origins, a time when the United States was undergoing tremendous change. In the early 20th century, the country was in the midst of shaping its identity, both socially and economically. One of the more pivotal decisions came in 1938, when the U.S. Mint began to replace the Buffalo nickel, a design that had been in circulation for nearly 3 decades. The new design, introduced in 1938, was that of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, created by famed sculptor Felix Schlag. The Jefferson nickel was a representation of American ideals. Its design was simple but powerful, evoking the spirit of Jefferson himself. Schlag's rendition of Jefferson, facing left, was immediately iconic. The reverse side of the coin featured a depiction of Jefferson's home, Monticello, a symbol of both his legacy and the values he championed during his time in office. This design would become the cornerstone of the Jefferson nickel, remaining on the coin until 2004, with some alterations made along the way, but the fundamental features were retained. As we move closer to 1964, the year that we're focusing on today, we must understand the context of the world at that time. The 1960s were a period of great societal change in the U.S. From civil rights movements to the space race, it was a time when the nation was grappling with its identity. The United States Mint continued to produce coins at a steady pace, and the Jefferson nickel was no exception. By 1964, it had already been in circulation for over 2 decades, and collectors had begun to take note of its historical significance, especially since it bore the image of one of the nation's most celebrated founding fathers. Now, let's turn our attention to the coin's physical details. The 1964 Jefferson nickel, like its predecessors, was made from a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The coin weighed 5 grams and had a diameter of 21.21 millimeters. While the design remained largely the same as the earlier versions, it's important to note that 1964 was a transitional year in many ways for the United States Mint. This was the last year that silver was included in many U.S. coins before the Mint began shifting to a more copper-nickel-based mix due to silver shortages. So, this makes the 1964 Jefferson nickel not only an important piece of numismatic history but also an item that marks the end of an era for U.S. coinage. As the years went by, interest in the 1964 Jefferson nickel began to grow. In the world of coin collecting, every coin has its own appeal, but what sets the 1964 Jefferson nickel apart is its rarity and potential for being part of a larger collection. It's not just another nickel. It's a piece of history, a representation of a time when the country was evolving politically, socially, and culturally. This context gives the coin added layers of significance. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why does the 1964 Jefferson nickel matter so much to collectors? What makes it so valuable? When we think about the value of a coin, there are several factors that come into play. Condition is one of the most important. Coins that have been well preserved, that show little to no wear, are far more valuable than those that have been circulated extensively. The 1964 Jefferson nickel is no exception. A coin in mint condition, or one that has been professionally graded by numismatic organizations, can fetch prices far beyond its face value. But what's even more intriguing is that certain varieties of the 1964 Jefferson nickel are particularly rare. For instance, there are certain errors that can make a 1964 nickel worth a small fortune. These could include things like a double die, where the design is mistakenly stamped twice on the coin, or misaligned dies, which cause the design to appear off-center. These errors happen very infrequently, but when they do, they make a coin a highly sought-after piece by collectors. Some collectors specialize in finding these rare, misprinted coins, as their scarcity means they can command astronomical prices. In fact, a well-preserved, error-free 1964 Jefferson nickel could easily fetch anywhere between $10 to $50 in typical coin markets, depending on the condition. However, the true surprise comes with the discovery of certain rarities, where the value can skyrocket. One such example is a 1964 Jefferson nickel that was recently auctioned for a jaw-dropping $150,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $150,000 for a single 5-cent piece. How could a nickel, a coin that is typically considered of little value, be worth such an incredible sum? The answer lies in its rarity, its condition, and the story behind it. Coins like this often end up being highly sought after not only because of their historical significance but because they represent a connection to the past. Collectors are always on the lookout for pieces that tell a story, that offer a glimpse into a time long gone. And when they come across a 1964 Jefferson nickel that is in pristine condition, or even better, contains a rare error, they are willing to pay top dollar. Beyond the monetary value, however, the Jefferson nickel holds significant cultural and historical importance. The coin is a direct link to the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential figures in American history. His image on the coin serves as a reminder of the founding principles of the United States: liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. The fact that these principles were etched into every nickel that circulated during the mid-20th century means that each coin carries with it a piece of American history. And this connection to history is not just something that collectors care about. It's something that appeals to a wide range of people, from history buffs to casual observers. The 1964 Jefferson nickel isn't just a coin, it's a symbol of an era in American history that saw the country make incredible strides in technology, culture, and civil rights. So, if you come across a 1964 Jefferson nickel, don't simply think of it as a low-value piece of change. It's far more than that. It's a testament to the rich history of the United States, a physical connection to one of the nation's most important leaders, and a potential treasure for those lucky enough to find one in mint condition or with an error that sets it apart from the rest. In the world of numismatics, this small 5-cent piece has proven that sometimes, the most humble objects can hold the greatest value. Whether you're a collector, a history enthusiast, or just someone with a keen eye for rare finds, the 1964 Jefferson nickel may be worth far more than you could ever imagine. Top 2. We're going to explore one of the most fascinating coins in U.S. history, the 1988 Jefferson nickel. You might think, it's just a 5-cent piece. But this coin carries with it a rich history, unique design features, and for the dedicated numismatist, significant value. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, has undergone many transformations over the decades, but it's the 1988 issue that still captures the imagination of collectors today. Stick with us as we dive into the historical context, the design elements, and the allure of the 1988 Jefferson nickel, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this small coin is worth far more than its face value, potentially up to $45,000. Let's start by understanding the significance of the Jefferson nickel. The coin itself was first introduced in 1938, and ever since, it has carried a portrayal of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on its obverse, the front side. The reverse features a depiction of Jefferson's estate, Monticello, a symbol of the president's legacy. While the design has remained largely unchanged since its inception, it's important to note that certain years, including 1988, hold special significance for collectors. In 1988, the United States was still in the midst of the 1980s economic boom, a period of rising prosperity and significant cultural shifts. This was also a time of continued stability for the American coinage system, as the mint's production of the Jefferson nickel had settled into a rhythm. But the 1988 Jefferson nickel stands out for a few specific reasons. It marked a moment in the broader context of American coinage. coming just a few years after the U.S. Mint had introduced the new designs of the Lincoln Memorial reverse on the penny and the Eisenhower dollar's transition to the Susan B. Anthony dollar. The design and minting techniques had matured, and while 1988 was not an era of drastic change, it would still become an important year for certain varieties of the Jefferson nickel. The 1988 Jefferson nickel features a clean, crisp design that represents both the nation's history and the ongoing changes in American coinage. On the obverse, you'll see a profile of Thomas Jefferson, modeled after a life mask created by the French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdin. This rendering of Jefferson had been the standard for over 50 years, and by 1988, it was an instantly recognizable image to every American. The reverse of the coin features Monticello, Jefferson's plantation home in Virginia, a building that Jefferson himself designed. This iconic structure, symbolizing Jefferson's belief in agrarian ideals and his vision for the United States, has also been a constant feature on the nickel since the coin's introduction. Now, you may be asking, what makes the 1988 Jefferson nickel different from the others? Well, while the design itself remained unchanged, the minting process and the types of errors that could occur in production made a significant difference. The 1988 Jefferson nickel was minted in large quantities, but as with most coins, small imperfections during the minting process can make a world of difference to collectors. Certain versions of this coin, especially those with unique minting errors or exceptional preservation, have garnered the attention of numismatists around the world. Coin collectors have long appreciated the Jefferson nickel for its relatively simple design, but it's the condition and any anomalies that determine how much a specific coin is worth. A coin in average circulated condition, with its edges worn and its design slightly dulled, will be worth only its face value, or perhaps a little more. But a 1988 Jefferson nickel in mint, or near mint condition can fetch a significantly higher price, especially if it has been well preserved or displays rare characteristics. This is where the true collector's excitement lies, in discovering those elusive, high-quality coins that are worth far more than just 5 cents. Let's take a moment to talk about the different types of 1988 Jefferson nickels that are highly sought after by collectors. The most valuable of these coins are those that have been graded at the highest levels of quality, such as MS67 or PR70 DCM by professional grading services. Coins in these categories are considered to be in pristine, uncirculated condition, with no visible signs of wear. They may also exhibit features that make them particularly rare, coins struck with unusual minting errors or distinctive features that make them stand out from the rest. One of the most common types of minting errors that collectors look for in 1988 Jefferson nickels are double dies. These occur when the die used to strike the coin gets misaligned or wears out, causing the design to appear doubled on the coin. A 1988 Jefferson nickel with this type of error, if it's in excellent condition, could be worth far more than just 5 cents. It might fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the severity of the error and the overall condition of the coin. Another error to look out for in 1988 Jefferson nickels is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted. These coins are rare and can often be highly prized by collectors who are willing to pay a premium for such unique characteristics. Some 1988 Jefferson nickels have even been struck on incorrect planchets, which can further increase their value and rarity. If you happen to find a 1988 Jefferson nickel with these or other unusual minting characteristics, don't be quick to dismiss it just because it seems like a typical nickel. In fact, it might be worth far more than you think. Coins like these, with their unique errors, are often sold for prices well beyond their face value, sometimes reaching hundreds or thousands of dollars at auction. For the 1988 Jefferson nickel, the most prized examples can even go as high as $45,000 or more, depending on the specific features and condition of the coin. Now, you may be wondering how to identify a valuable 1988 Jefferson nickel. While it's not always easy to spot the subtle differences between a regular nickel and one that's worth thousands of dollars, there are a few key things to look out for. First, inspect the coin carefully for any signs of unusual wear or imperfections in the design. Does the image of Jefferson appear doubled? Is the reverse of Monticello slightly misaligned? Check the edges of the coin for any signs of damage or wear, which can significantly affect the coin's grade and value. The clearer and sharper the design, the higher the potential value. You'll also want to pay attention to the coin's overall condition. A coin that's been well preserved, one that has been stored away from dirt, moisture, or other environmental factors, will be in much better shape than a coin that has been handled and circulated for years. Grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, are trusted organizations that can evaluate the condition of your coin and assign it a grade, helping to determine its market value. It's also important to remember that the market for rare coins can fluctuate over time. What's considered valuable today may not necessarily be as sought after in the future. However, as long as there is a demand for rare, high-quality Jefferson nickels, the 1988 issue will likely continue to hold its appeal. Whether you're an experienced collector or someone just starting to learn about the world of coin collecting, the 1988 Jefferson nickel offers a thrilling opportunity to hunt for treasures hidden in your pocket change or old coin collections. In conclusion, while the 1988 Jefferson nickel may seem like a small, insignificant coin to most, it holds a special place in the world of numismatics. With its simple yet iconic design, and the potential for rare minting errors or exceptional conditions, it's a coin that attracts collectors from all corners of the world. If you happen to come across a 1988 Jefferson nickel with an error, or one that has been impeccably preserved, you might just be holding onto a coin worth far more than its 5-cent face value, potentially as much as $45,000. So, the next time you're going through your loose change or browsing through coin shops, keep an eye out for the 1988 Jefferson nickel. With its historical significance, its beautiful design, and its impressive value potential, this coin could be a true treasure in your collection. Happy hunting, and remember, in the world of coin collecting, it's the small things that can sometimes be the most valuable. Top 3. Today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins of the modern U.S. Mint, the 2010 Jefferson nickel. This 5-cent coin, which may appear simple at first glance, holds a significant place in American history, numismatics, and the world of collectors. Over the course of this video, we'll explore the historical context of the Jefferson nickel, its design evolution, the minting process behind the 2010 edition, and most importantly, why this coin has become a sought-after treasure worth up to $25,000 in certain rare conditions. To truly appreciate the 2010 Jefferson nickel, we need to understand the coin's broader story. The Jefferson nickel itself has been in circulation since 1938, and its design has undergone multiple changes throughout the years. From its debut under the direction of designer Felix Schlag, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, the nickel has stood as a symbol of American history. The year 2010 represents a significant point in the coin's evolution, marking the third year of a redesign series that began in 2004. For those unfamiliar, 2004 was the year the U.S. Mint decided to commemorate the bicentennial of the Louisiana Purchase and Thomas Jefferson's role in its acquisition by redesigning the reverse of the Jefferson nickel. In 2004, the U.S. Mint debuted a new reverse design of the Jefferson nickel, featuring a depiction of Monticello with a more realistic rendering and greater attention to detail than previous designs. But by 2005, the Mint introduced a new obverse featuring a more modern interpretation of Jefferson's portrait. These changes were part of a broader effort to freshen up the design of America's coinage while still honoring the nation's founding principles. By 2010, the Mint had continued this theme of evolving the design and was focusing on maintaining the relevance of the Jefferson nickel within the context of modern coinage. What sets the 2010 Jefferson nickel apart from earlier issues is its refined design and its connection to ongoing changes in American coin production. The 2010 version retains the same general design elements as the earlier versions of the Jefferson nickel, with Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. However, what makes it particularly interesting for collectors is how the Mint continued to strike the coin with a focus on quality and consistency. particularly in the face of challenges such as rising production costs and shifts in the composition of American coinage. In terms of its minting process, the 2010 Jefferson nickel was produced in several different facilities, including the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with a total mintage of over 1 billion coins. Despite this large production number, not all 2010 Jefferson nickels are created equal. A crucial factor in determining the value of any coin, particularly the 2010 Jefferson nickel, is its condition. Like all coins, the 2010 Jefferson nickel has its fair share of variations, some of which are subtle and require a trained eye to spot. While most of the coins in circulation today are in average circulated condition, some of these coins, those with pristine features or rare minting anomalies, can fetch impressive sums in the market. Collectors have always been drawn to coins that have either historical significance, unique features, or high-quality preservation. The 2010 Jefferson nickel checks off all three boxes, which is part of the reason why certain examples are highly coveted by numismatists. So, what exactly makes certain 2010 Jefferson nickels worth $25,000? There are several key factors that can drive up the value of these coins, and we'll walk through each of them, giving you a roadmap for identifying a potentially valuable coin in your collection or even in your change jar. The most notable reason a 2010 Jefferson nickel could be worth such an impressive sum lies in its grading and condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being the highest possible grade for a coin in perfect condition. When a 2010 Jefferson nickel is graded as a high-quality MS-67 or higher, it can begin to approach a much higher market value. These high-grade coins are typically in pristine, uncirculated condition, with no visible wear or scratches on the surface. Given that the mint produced over 1 billion of these coins, finding one in this pristine condition can be quite rare, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for them. The next factor that adds to the coin's value is the possibility of minting errors. Minting errors, which occur when a coin is struck improperly or has some anomaly in the design, are highly prized by collectors. With the 2010 Jefferson nickel, there are a few notable types of errors that can dramatically increase its value. For example, some 2010 Jefferson nickels were struck with off-center impressions, where the design on the coin is misaligned, creating a coin that is not perfectly centered. Others may exhibit doubling in the die, where parts of the coin's design appear twice, creating a doubled image that is especially noticeable in the lettering and details of Jefferson's portrait or Monticello. These errors, which are often subtle but can be clearly identified under magnification, make the coin rarer and more desirable, thus increasing its value significantly. Additionally, the 2010 Jefferson nickel, like many modern coins, has been subject to variations in its finish. While most of the coins produced in 2010 were minted with the standard business strike finish, some coins were produced with a more reflective, proof finish. Proof coins are made specifically for collectors and are usually struck multiple times to create a shiny, almost mirror-like surface. These proof versions of the 2010 Jefferson nickel, which were minted in smaller quantities, can fetch prices far beyond the typical 5-cent value, especially if they are in pristine condition. So far, we've discussed some of the features that make a 2010 Jefferson nickel a potential collector's item. But let's talk about how to spot a coin that could be worth $25,000. The first step is to thoroughly inspect the coin for any signs of wear, scratches, or imperfections. A high-quality coin will have sharp, well-defined features, with little to no signs of handling. The details in Jefferson's portrait and Monticello's structure should be crisp and clear, with no blurring or fading. Next, check for any minting errors, such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, or unusual patterns. If you notice something that doesn't quite match the standard design, it could be a sign that the coin is more valuable than you thought. If you find a 2010 Jefferson nickel that you believe may be worth more than its face value, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded. Grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can assess the coin's condition and assign it a grade that will help determine its value in the market. High-grade examples of the 2010 Jefferson nickel, especially those with minting errors, can be worth thousands of dollars at auction. In the rarest of cases, such as a nearly perfect coin with an exceptional error, the coin could be worth as much as $25,000 or even more. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the collector appeal of the 2010 Jefferson nickel. Coin collecting is a passion for many, and the Jefferson nickel series is one of the most beloved in American numismatics. The 2010 edition stands out for its modern design and continued connection to the legacy of Thomas Jefferson and Monticello. Collectors appreciate the history behind the coin, as well as the thrill of finding rare and valuable specimens. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a casual collector, the 2010 Jefferson nickel offers a great opportunity to own a piece of U.S. history while potentially adding significant value to your collection. As we wrap up, it's clear that the 2010 Jefferson nickel is much more than just a 5-cent piece. Whether you're interested in its historical significance, the artistry behind its design, or its impressive collector value, there's no denying that this coin holds a special place in the world of American numismatics. From the possibility of finding a high-grade example to the excitement of uncovering a minting error, the 2010 Jefferson nickel offers a wealth of opportunities for collectors and investors alike. So, next time you come across a 2010 Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. It might just be worth far more than you think. Whether it's the thrill of collecting or the hope of finding a rare treasure worth $25,000, this small coin could hold the key to something big. Happy hunting, and remember, every coin has a story to tell, and in the case of the 2010 Jefferson nickel, that story could be worth a small fortune.